going to get started. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for our health and fitness webinar. Really glad to have you guys with us. And whether you're here to pick up some new tips to stay motivated or just simply take a step towards better wellness, we're excited to have you here. Before we get started, just a quick note: any questions and answers, we can do that at the end of the call. You can also email me or just raise your hand during the call or after the call, and I will unmute and allow you to speak. And we're also going to be recording today's webinar, and we'll share the replay with everyone just in case you'd like to watch it again or you want to share it with someone else. So here at Fitzgerald Financial Group, we believe that financial well-being and physical well-being go hand in hand. Taking care of your health is one of the most important investments you can make in your life. And today's presentation truly embodies that mindset. We're thrilled to welcome our friend Joe LaCerra today. Joe is the owner of R.E.A.L Training. Joe is an ISSA master trainer and a professional natural bodybuilder. Joe was also named Mr. Classic Physique America in 2020. And beyond his achievements in the gym, he's also a fourth degree master black belt in Tang Soo Do, showing his commitment to discipline and excellence in all areas of life. Joe brings years of experience, passion, and a no-nonsense approach to health and fitness. Today, he's here to share some valuable insights to help us live stronger, healthier lives. Please join me in welcoming Joe LaCerra. Joe?
John, thank you so much for the hearty introduction there. I really appreciate that. And thank you guys all for taking the time here out of your Wednesday afternoon to join us for hopefully the first of many health and fitness webinars for the Fitzgerald Financial Group. As some of you may know, some of you may not, John's been a client of mine, as I've been a client of his for about the same duration of time. So while he helps me out on the money side, I've been helping him out on the health and fitness side. So, and as he spoke about what financial health and physical health do go hand in hand, because we want to make long-term investments not only in our portfolios, but in ourselves as well. So a lot of the analogies I'm going to pull from tie back to the financial world to kind of make things make sense. But one of the first things I'll kick off with, and it's actually interesting that John had mentioned that in terms of watching today's webinar, in terms of picking up tips to stay motivated. And that's the word I'm going to kind of key in on first out of the gate here, is that motivation piece, because I'm sure whether you're currently involved in a health and fitness journey, or you recently fell off, or you haven't been in the gym in some time, motivation is the key word that everybody hones in on sometimes. And I like to say that, motivation is really overrated in the grand scheme of things. It's a fleeting thing. So when it comes to things that are fleeting, these are things we really shouldn't be chasing, because anything that's going to go away after a short period of time, as we all know, you've all been motivated to do one thing or another at a various point in time, whether that be in health and fitness or in any area of your life. And eventually that motivation fades away. And how do we actually keep up with anything once the motivation fades away? So what we really need to focus on when it comes to living a healthier lifestyle and being healthier overall is adherence, consistency, and discipline. And I'm going to kind of talk to you guys about how to set yourself up for those things, because again, if we're always chasing for motivation, we're eventually going to flame out. And the reason why I say flame out is a quote that I like to go by is that motivation only starts the fire, right? Adherence, consistency, and discipline are the things that actually keep it going. So, as I said to you guys, I'm going to relate some things back to the financial world, as this is a presentation for a financial group of people. When we're making investments within the market, we never want to invest in something that is uber volatile, right? Now, sometimes we may do some day trading, or we may do some Bitcoin here and there, and then those things are fun, and sometimes we may put little bits and pieces, but the core foundation of our investment group, right, is in core things, the S&P 500, things that we know are going to stick. Whether you're being risky or not, you're going to invest in things that you can usually predict the outcome for you, that are going to work based on a firmly sound plan. When you invest all of your chips and marbles in the fitness world, motivation side of things, you're investing in something that's really, really volatile. And when you invest in something really, really volatile, you're just kind of shooting from the hip. So that's what you get when you invest solely in that motivation piece. So again, my strategy today is going to be teaching you how to become a little bit more adherent, consistent, and disciplined, because let's be honest, those things are easy to say, but it's okay. How do we actually get there? How do we actually get to a spot where we have a high level of adherence, a high level of consistency, and a high level of discipline? Because those are very easy to say, but how do we actually do it? So starting from the beginning, I think where a lot of people go wrong with their health and fitness goals is the initial goal setting process. Because for one, there's a lot of verbal that happens there. People will say, I want to lose weight, or they'll say, I want to get healthier. And those are great statements, and they can be, let's say, the mission statement or the vision statement of our goals. But just like a business then has a mission statement or vision statement, and then they have their business plan, the nuts and bolts of how they're actually going to get there. When you say you want to get healthier, when you say you want to lose weight, you say you want to do this, that, or the other, that's your mission statement or your vision statement. How do you then write the business plan for your goals? So one thing is your goals have to be somewhat clearly defined. And when you're just getting started, you may not know exactly what that goal is like. You may not know how much weight it is that you actually want to lose. Maybe it's getting into a certain article of clothing that you haven't been in a while. Maybe it's being able to, get on the ground and play with your nieces, nephews, kids, grandkids, whomever. Maybe it's something like a physical activity like that. I've had clients even where it was something like being able to go on a roller coaster, or being able to sit in a booth at a restaurant. So these things could be, sometimes you might think of them as trite or something that you take for granted, but it could be a performance-based goal. It could be something that is scale related. It could be that you want to get a certain article of clothing, but your goals need to be clearly defined. And I do think you also need to set up short and long-term goals. For one, the long-term goal, the ones that usually people think about are the lofty ones, the end goal of what they want to end up looking like. And that sometimes is defined by a number on the scale. But I always try to walk people back and not have it be solely based on the scale itself, because you don't want to define yourself by a number in particular. Good example I always get when somebody walks into the gym and they tell me they want to lose 20 pounds. And then I always pose the question to them, if you lost 15, but looked the way you think 20 down looks, would you be happy? And of course they say yes, because they want to look a certain way. So I say, okay, cool. I'm going to flip it the other way. Let's say you lose 20, but you're still not really satisfied with the way that you look. Would you want to keep going? And they'd say yes. So I flip that back to the person. So it is more about what you look like and feel like, and the answer is always yes. So that's why I said you might not know what that number is to come down, but that's where the short-term goals can come in. You can set little short-term weight loss goals along the way. You can set little short-term non-scale victories along the way. I want to be able to walk a mile in a certain amount of time. I want to be able to hit a certain amount of daily steps per day. So you can have little performance-based goals. I want to make sure I make it to the gym 2 to 3 times per week. And when it comes to putting these goals down, again, it means one thing for me to say them out loud, but I think actually physically writing these goals down, whether it be in a physical journal, whether it be typing them out in the notes on your phone, or you have an accountability partner, like a workout buddy, a family member, a trainer, or a coach, somebody that's going to hold you accountable, or a means of holding yourself accountable, right? Because if you don't have that measure of accountability, again, how are we going to get this stuff to stick? So just like in the financial world, right, as you guys do with John, when you fill out the goal sheets of where you want to see yourself end up in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, your fitness does function the same way in setting those short and long-term goals. Because again, the short-term goals are, I know I bashed motivation in the beginning, but the short-term goals actually do help you with that motivation piece, because while it is overrated, there is a part to it, but we want to keep it more normalized. So while we have those short-term goals that we tick off along the way, we still also have that long-term thing that we're shooting for as well, right? So when we have those goals, it allows us to to check those boxes more efficiently. But again, the goals can't just be set out in the air and then thought of as nothing. And they need to be actually physically manifested somewhere so that way you can reference back to them. Because let's say you don't actually put your goals down and you get started on a health and fitness journey where you're not really sure then at that point, are you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing? And are you doing your plan with respect to your goals? Does it match? So just like you would have a workout log, right? With an investment log, you have a goal sheet on both sides. And that way you know where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, you can't map the route there, right? So you have to know where you're going. So I think a lot of people fall short in the beginning of their fitness journey when they don't clearly set what these goals are, right? And it's one of the things I help a lot of people do when they first walk in the gym. Because again, knowing what that number is or knowing what your goals are, a lot of times you have an image in your head, but it becomes troublesome to set those goals. So that's where a trainer and coach can help you out in terms of making sure you're steered on the right path to set those goals that are very specific to you. That's like moving right to the next point, right? The word specific, because you may have heard John say this in the financial sense, but this applies a ton in the fitness world of setting SMART goals. And SMART is just an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, right? So we kind of already touched on these 5 points, but just to circle back again, when it comes to setting SMART goals, specific, we already discussed that a good bit. Specific goals just mean they have an actual target on them. It's not just, I want to lose weight. Okay, let's set at least a number on it, maybe for the short term and a number for the long term to at least shoot for. The other thing about goals, to kind of circle back a little bit, they can always be adjusted as well. So even when you put those goals on paper, they can be adjusted over time, because whether you maybe undershoot or overshoot, you can adjust those goals as well. But again, starting with the S in SMART, we want them to be specific. Measurable, that's the M, measurable. These goals should be able to be measured over time, because again, as I talked about with relating your plan to your goals, you need to know if you're doing the right workouts, the right combination of things, the right nutrition plan to actually get there. So if you can't measure what these things you're doing, you're not really sure if you're going to get there. Or again, you're just kind of going back to shooting from the hip now. When it comes to the A, it stands for attainable, right? And this is where sometimes a trainer or coach can help set these goals, because I have a lot of people that come through the door and they might say they want to lose, 30 pounds in 2 weeks, or they come to me 3 weeks before summer or 4 weeks before a wedding and they want to completely transform themselves. And that can be a hard conversation to have with people sometimes, because if you don't set your goals to be attainable, for one, you're going to be discouraged when you don't actually get to that spot. But B, it's going to leave you just kind of falling short along the way. And that ties right into the letter R, which would be realistic, right? So your goals, the attainable and realistic, kind of tie hand in hand together. Because if you're not setting realistic goals, you're going to get frustrated along the way. So your goals have to be realistic, so that way you can make sure that you are setting yourself up with the appropriate boxes to check. Because then otherwise, again, you're going to be setting yourself up for failure along the way. The T in that SMART acronym, the final one, stands for timely, right? And that just ties back into making sure when you set these goals up for yourself, you give yourself a time frame and be honest with yourself. A lot of people join the gym and they may get the specific, measurable, attainable, realistic part down, but they don't give themselves a time frame to do it. And that can be where a lot of people fall short, because if we have a deadline for something, we're going to be more apt to actually get it done. Granted, and myself included, we might all be little procrastinators out there, and that's okay. But things usually get done by the time frame they get done, because there was a deadline set. I'll be the first one to tell you, if I don't set a deadline on something and I don't tell myself it has to be done by this point in time, odds are it's not happening, right? So when it comes to your fitness goals, you have to be timely. And again, these things can adjust because life happens sometimes. Let's say you set a time frame for something, but then something happens. Maybe something with your family where it kind of diverts your attention, or work gets really, really busy. it's okay to move the goalposts a little bit. And sometimes people are afraid to do that because they think they're failing themselves if they have to move the goalpost. You know, life is dynamic, and that's okay. Sometimes you're going to have to move the goalpost a little bit, but the key is you can't stop kicking, right? You can't stop trying to put the ball through the goalpost. Sometimes the goalpost is going to move, but that just means you pick up your tee, you move your ball over, and then you line it up and try to kick it again, right? And if the goalpost moves again, guess what? You keep on going down the line. So, but again, to tie it back to LFT, it's timely. It's making sure that you set yourself a time frame for your goals, right? And that way, when you check them off, okay, what's next? Or do you go into more of a maintenance phase? But either way, you have a clear and defined relationship with your goals as it relates to time. So now we talked about goals, right? Here's the big one: actually taking action on them, because we can do all the talking in the world, all the goal setting in the world, and you can write it down, and you can buy yourself new workout clothes, and you can buy yourself a workout journal and a cool water bottle and this and that, and have all the things ready to go. Then you actually have to do the work, and that's the hard part. So what's the secret for taking action? And I hate to break it to you, there's not really any secret or any hack behind it. It's literally just getting in there and doing the work. What I find that people are most afraid of is the fear of failure, right? Most people are just simply afraid to screw up and to make mistakes, and that's okay. Mistakes are all part of the learning process. It's all normal as it relates to health and fitness. Think about it this way: if you try any new activity, you can't possibly expect to be good at it right away. If you tried surfing, or if you tried bowling, or if you tried any new sport, any new activity, if you tried to play chess for the first time and you haven't played chess before, you're probably going to suck at it. And that's indicative of the gym too. The first time you give the gym a shot, or let's say you haven't been to the gym since college or whatever, it's probably going to hurt a little bit and it's probably going to suck. But I promise you, that ocean that you see in front of you that looks like miles and miles wide is only a foot deep. You just have to start walking through. And I promise, while it may feel uncomfortable, once you get that habit building and that habit rolling, things are going to be a lot smoother for you. So again, the biggest thing that I see with people that come into the store every day is that fear of failure. They're afraid to fail. And you know, kind of the harsh truth and the question that we pose sometimes, and it is hard conversations that I have to have with people, but it's, you can either be afraid to fail to start or never start at all and never get there. Like neither option, right, of being afraid to fail or then just never starting, period. Like neither of those options is going to get you where you need to go. So you might as well just take this road, because at least this one, once you pass through that initial fear and that initial roadblock or whatever, that initial wall that's in front of you, there is success on the other side. But on the road of not starting at all, that just leaves you back here. So why not take that scary path and see where it leads you? And again, it's scary, it's new, it can be very intimidating. But I promise you, a guy that hangs out in the gym entirely too often, the gym is a very welcoming space. It's a very positive community. And it's a space that once you get into, everybody's more than happy to help. Everybody's more than happy to get you started to help kind of show you the way. And again, it's supposed to be scary. It's new. Mistakes are all part of that learning process. And remember, when you do make mistakes, it's always lessons, never losses. We never take losses when it comes to actually trying to better ourselves, whether that be in the gym or outside of the gym, financially, whatever. There's some times where I'm sure you guys make investments that don't go according to plan. What do you do about it? You're going to sit and pout and never invest again? No. You're going to learn the lesson from it. You're going to take the feedback that lesson gave you and then apply that to future investments. And again, sometimes things might not go your way, whether that be market volatility or, you know, a certain stock didn't go according to plan. These things happen, and that's going to happen in the gym world as well. Your life's going to get busy and you're not going to go for a week, or you're going to be at the family party and you're going to have way too much pizza or way too much cake. It's okay. One thing I like to tell my clients all the time, it relates a little bit more to the nutrition side, but this comes in maybe lack of exercise as well. Any decision that you make in the fitness world can be undone by making better decisions on the other side of it. So if you do go off the rails a little bit on the nutrition side, or if you do miss a few workouts, guess what? It can be undone on the other side of things. I promise you that. One non-nutritious meal or one missed workout does not run you down, just like one clean meal, as they would say, or one good workout is not going to give you the physique and the health of your dreams either. It's a collection of good work over time, and that's how it relates to the financial world as well. It's a collection of smart decisions based on smart goal setting and smart propositions over time that all add up to a bigger picture. That's one of the hard parts in health and fitness to see, because it's not black and white like dollars and cents. We can look at things in the financial world and say, this is supposed to give X percentage of growth over this many years. It's very black and white. In the fitness world, sometimes we can't see that. It's very gray, and we have to kind of paint that picture in our mind sometimes of what we want to look like or what we want to feel like. So that's where sometimes in the fitness world there can be a little bit of disconnect. But I promise you it's just the same, whether it be in that financial world or in the fitness world. It comes with setting smart goals, putting those goals to paper, and then actually taking action on them. Because, again, there's two roads you can go. You can either be afraid to start and never start, or you can fight that fear and actually see where that path takes you. And then I promise you, once you get past that fear of actually starting with it, you're going to surprise yourself and really, really make some good progress on the other side.
Joe, this is great stuff, and I really appreciate it. And I guess one of the things that and this is a question that came in a little bit ago, and this is something that's on my mind too. But so you work with people, all different levels, and what's the most like what's the most common mistake that you see most often, and then how can people avoid that?
Oof, that's a good one.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's a good question. So I would say, I'm going to give kind of two answers to this one. So the most common mistake I see from the outset is the fear of failure from wanting to start. Now, once people get into the gym, right, once they actually start working out or they start following some sound nutrition principles, what's the mistake that they make is, honestly, people are too hard on themselves sometimes. I think is the main crux of things. And this comes from many different factors. It comes from and kind of wanting to do everything right. And while a valiant effort, not everything's going to go according to plan in the fitness world. Like I said, in the fitness realm, things aren't as black and white as they would be in the financial world, where it is kind of A plus B equals C. Or where you can maybe directly point to something as, this was the reason why this didn't do well. In fitness, it's very multifaceted. You have a lot of different factors that all kind of pull at you. And excuse me, I like to think of it that all of our responsibilities in life have sort of buckets that have our attention, and we're just constantly pouring the water back and forth between those buckets. And sometimes we have to pour water out of that fitness bucket to, excuse me, attend to some of life's other responsibilities. And I find that when that happens, people are just too hard on themselves when it comes to wanting to do everything correctly. And they maybe want results instantaneously, where, again, it kind of ties back to that smart goal setting. When we set things that are more attainable and realistic and realize that this isn't going to be an overnight process.
Yeah.
I'll give you another statement that I say to a lot of people in the gym, because I see, all, excuse me, all different clientele. But let's say I get somebody that's 50 years old. They're coming back to the gym for the first time in a while because they want to get healthy. They want to change their life. And then I ask them, I say, when was the last time that you really felt comfortable with your health and fitness? You loved the way you looked. And they say, back in college, maybe they were a former athlete. So okay, so you were about 23 when that happens, and then it starts to click. That was a long time ago, now, wasn't it? Now, I'm not saying it's going to take that length of time to get back to that point, but let's be honest with yourselves. If it was 20 plus years ago that you liked the way you looked, and now we're here 20 plus years later, I'm glad you started, because this is the second best time to start. The next best time to start was yesterday, right? But you're here now, right? You're starting. Not going to take 20 plus years to get back to that point, but you have to be honest with yourself. It took us a lot of time to get here. It's going to take a little bit of time to get out of that, but that's okay. It's all part of the process. But I think, again, it ties back into setting real estate. So to surmise all of that, I think the biggest mistake people make is they're too hard on themselves and they want the results immediately.
Yep.
Because the other side of the immediate results is, and I say this to people that walk in the gym, it took a lot of guts to walk in those doors to the gym. I know that person that walks in the door has been thinking about walking through those doors for 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year. They've been self-conscious. Maybe their self-esteem's poor, and they've been contemplating that decision for a while. So when people then step foot in the gym, they want stuff to happen right away. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. That's the day one of your work starting, right? And sometimes people blend that contemplation stage into their actual work stage, and they join the gym and they get a trainer or whatever they do, and they go, okay, like when do I get the results? It's like, well, hold on. You gotta actually do the work now. So just because you were thinking about it for 3, 6, 12 months, now the work begins. So sometimes that contemplation stage leads into the actual work. And again, ties back into just setting realistic expectations from the jump. But I find that sometimes people let that contemplation stage just bleed into what their actual work is. So just being honest with yourself and knowing that day one when you start is your actual day one at work usually helps.
So great stuff. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. Once again, Joe LaCerra. Joe is the owner of R.E.A.L Training, and Joe is an ISSA master trainer and a professional natural bodybuilder. Joe, I want to say thank you again for taking the time today, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
You got it, Joe. Joe, we'll talk to you soon. If anyone has any follow-up questions, please let me know. I'll get those questions over to Joe. We'll get answers for you, and I will talk to everyone soon.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.